But I guess if we're at 2.2 million, if it's coming higher, we can scale back and keep it within what we're basically suggesting here. So for the bids for the Coleman Road storm water project, the motion to approve the first two bids and leave off the undergrading.
I make that motion.
We have a motion. And it's been seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Our next thing, 051-2016. I don't know who's handling that.
We perform a review of the streetlight costs that are passed on to the township by West Penn Power. This year, actually last year, there were two rate increases that necessitating us to adjust our assessments that are sent on the tax bills for those that are in proximity to the streetlight. Those average 19% of an increase. One thing the board can do in moving forward is consider the possibility of going to LED fixtures. Those LED fixtures will cut your electric costs by 50% right off the bat.
Will cut what percent?
It will cut your electric bills by 50%. 50%, yes. And West Penn has a program so that there's no upfront cost. The township doesn't have to pay for fixtures, anything to that, or labor to install those. But what the board may want to identify, and we'll start working on this in the coming months, we may want to select particular zones, street lighting zones, where you don't want to implement your LED projects, so that you don't just say, West Penn, hey, listen, let's do every street light. You'll say, for example, let's start in Muse, or let's start in Hendersonville. And those are things we can do to try to cut the cost. Unfortunately, though, this year, and it will time to the end there are street light assessments that are delinquent. However,
Let's get to that, we'll get to that next. I think what we've got to make sure is we agree that there has to be a 19% increase on the streetlight assessments. It's a pass-through. West Penn Fire raised the rates and we've got to pass it on. But likewise, if they do the communities with LED lighting, assuming they follow up on that, then we would in turn reduce the assessment. It's not our tax, it's just a pass-through assessment that gets put on just like a fire hydrant.
And when might the LED lights go in? Would that be this year?
I would hope that we could have those implemented this year, yes.
It won't be all of them.
It wouldn't be all of them, right, township-wide. We have probably about 728 streetlights, I believe. But we could do them, section by section.
This is at no cost to...
This is at no cost to the township, and it results in a 50% savings in your electric cost.
Your recommendations are to do the dense
I would start working at least maybe in smaller zones, maybe you do Georgetown State. The only area that the township cannot do is South Point. South Point uses what they call a shoebox type fixture, and that fixture is not available. I think the reason we're able to get these at no cost is because General Electric, who makes the fixtures, is providing the cost savings to West Penn. So that's why there's no upfront cost, there's no installation or labor cost. The only thing we see is 50% savings in electric.
But also our old lights that are up now, Allegheny and West Penn Power actually save more than 50%. So they're basically cutting our rates 50%, and they're getting something out of the deal too. And that's why they're willing to go ahead and tackle the project.
Why can't we do more than one section?
You can. They just would prefer that you do it section in certain zones. They don't want you to say, okay, township-wide, let's do this. It's just an orderly procedure to your replacement program.
Well, what more could we add than these?
You can add Hendersonville, there's Lawrence or Hill Station District. I'll have those all broken down in the board. As long as the board gives their approval, that's all West Penn requires, board approval to do the upgrade.
Start saving money.
Right, exactly.
We know where the concentrated areas of lights are, so if the use is really concentrated, that's probably the best one to start with. We can evaluate that, and as it gets more sparse and spread out on the roads, which will probably end up being that last. But our best interest is the concentrated areas.
I was just wondering, hopefully we can get more than one done this year.
Tom, if we raise the assessment, and you think it ought to be working, you turn on Bishop Muse Road, and I can tell you for a fact, I looked at it tonight. First 4 on the
Which
John,
ones?
there's a lot of burnt out streetlights in this town.
There are,
Use Bishop.
There's 4 of them up in the tracks, all the way up the road. The first 4 are not on. Bob said there's one down across from the Legion that's been out forever.
there's more than that.
We've had them problems over abuse also. We've called in complaints with the town. We've got
Charge
to,
more money if they're not on.
we've got to repair it. I mean, quick response turnaround, like less than 2 weeks over abuse.
What about the ones that stay on? They don't go off.
So that's a problem too.
Yeah.
We see that, let us know.
I can tell you where one's at. We've called them a dozen times, they don't care.
If a lot, would you imagine if a lot of lights were off, not working, would the bill they charge us, they send us the bill, would it be any less, or is it just based on a flat rate, assuming every light works?
It's based on the flat rate, every light, it's a daily rate at the kilowatt hour.
I bet you'd be surprised to see if your police department go around and just in their spare time at night and check to see how many are burnt out.
And we do, we'll get a list, generally we'll get a list
I
on for those.
thought this was just done a few months ago.
Hold on, one at a time, please. Wait, listen.
I thought this was just done a few months ago, the end of last year.
I think when Bill said, that wasn't there a surge or something knocked a bunch out? Wasn't there a surge that knocked a bunch of streetlights out?
There was, yes.
Well, I don't know if there's a provision though, but Chris, you know that, when we get a bill, I mean, we pay our bills, I don't know what provision, how we can deduct a certain amount, and just say we're not paying it. I just don't know the procedure for that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to look at our agreement with power company just to see, you know, we can put them on notice that things aren't working, so we shouldn't have to pay for them. You know, there's no statutory provision saying what happens, that just comes the assessment round. It would be more of look to, you know, our relationship with the power company and see what the project is.
Well, maybe the ones that are burnt out, they can start with those and replace them with LEDs on the one. If we give them a list of all of our burnt out ones, and I think Ron has a good suggestion, if we don't already have it, our police are out at night all the time. So maybe we can get a list, give it to them, and say, start with these ones first.
Well, I just did that 2 weeks ago from abuse. I called it in at 3:30 to Teresa. She called West Bath Fire the next morning. They give us a work order number on it. They faxed it. Teresa faxed it back to me. And then, like I say, less than a week and a half, the problem was taken care of. So I suggest if you know of any street lights that are out, not working, call down here and we can report it to West Bend and they'll get on top of it.
He just gave us 5. Carol Richards, no.
Anyone that stays on.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a motion to approve it. Still a new assessment will be owed to the pastor. So I need a motion to approve the new assessment for the streetlights.
I make that motion.
There's a second. It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion carries.